Everyone, this is Shirley, and this is another Deliberate Cooking. I like to welcome, not Deliberate Cooking. This is our resolution of the heart. Sorry about that. And I like to get back into our book. And when we left off, there was a lot of good points that we hit on. But before I even start that, I'd like to welcome anyone that's new that have came by, my older viewers, and if you want a copy of this book, definitely contact me. My information is in the, you click the little button, or you can go to the Bhakti community and you can get more information that way. So last week we learned a lot of things, okay? Next time I'm going to highlight them, but I do know that we talked about the two energies of Krishna. I remember that part, and if you remember anything, good. I didn't write in the book because I was too busy trying to follow along. So let's get started. So we are at when we chant the Vedic mantra, which begins with Om. We can also remember Krishna. Is like Hare Krishna. It's also an address to God, and Om is also Krishna. Sabda, Sabdah, means sound. And then, we're talking about the Vedic literature, and Krishna is it's God's name. And as I said before, and I keep repeating this in case someone new come across, God has many names that you can call him. And just to get that clear, so who Krishna is. And definitely, if you're just coming in, go back and listen to the other videos. They're very short, and you'll be caught up real quick, up to speed very quickly. So, and like Hare Krishna is also an address to God, and is also Krishna. Sabda means sound, and whenever we hear any sound, we should know that it is a vibration of the original sound. The pure spiritual sound are Hare Krishna. Whatever sound we hear in the material world is but a reflection of that original spiritual In this way, that felt good. In this way, when we hear the sound, when we drink water, when we see some illumination, we can remember God. If we can do this, then when will we not remember God? This is the process of Krishna consciousness. In this way, we can remember Krishna 24 hours a day. And in this way, Krishna is with us. Of course, Krishna is always with us, but as soon as we remember this, his presence is factually and is felt. That's a good point, because I always tell, when I do talk, I always say, well, Krishna is right here with you, and he is with you. But it's when you acknowledge him, then you can actually feel him more. Let's go on. There are 9 different processes for associating with God. And the first method of associating is Shravanam. Sravanam. That's for you guys. And we know we're talking Sanskrit. Hearing. By reading the Bhagavad Gita, we hear the speeches of Sri Krishna, which means that we actually associating with Krishna, our God. We should always remember that when we speak of Krishna, we refer to God, inasmuch as we associate with God. And as we go on hearing the words of Krishna and his names, the contamination of material nature is reduced. And understanding that Krishna is a sound illumination, water, and so many other things, it becomes impossible to avoid Krishna. If we can remember Krishna in this way, our association with him is permanent. Association with Krishna is like association with sunshine. Where there is sunshine, there is no contamination, as long as one is out of the ultraviolet rays of the sun. He will not be diseased. In Western medicine, sunshine is recommended for all kind of disease, and according to the Vedas, a diseased man should worship the sun for cure. Similar, if we associate with Krishna and Krishna consciousness, our maladies are cured. By chanting Hare Krishna, we can associate with Krishna, and we can see the water as Krishna, the sun and the moon as Krishna, and we can hear Krishna in sound and taste him in water. Unfortunately, in our present condition, we have forgotten Krishna, but now we have to revive our spiritual life by remembering him. The process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing, and chanting was approved by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya was speaking with Ramananda Raya, okay, a friend of the Lord and a great devotee, the Lord questioned him about the methods of spiritual realization. Ramananda, Lord, okay, Ramananda, okay, there we go, Ramananda, recommended, there's some Sanskrit words, I'm not going to say it, the renunciation of work, and so many other methods, but Lord Chaitanya said no, all these are not so good. Each time Ramananda Raya suggested something, Lord Chaitanya rejected it, requesting a better method for spiritual development. Finally, Ramananda Raya quoted a Vedic aphorism which recommended that one give up all unnecessary endeavors and mental speculation for understanding God, because by speculation it is not possible to arrive at the ultimate truth. Scientists, for instance, may speculate about distant stars and planets, but they can never come to a conclusion without experience. One may go on speculating throughout his life and never reach any conclusion. That's true. It is especially useless to speculate about God. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam recommends that all sort of speculation should be given up. It is recommended instead that one become submissive, realizing that not only is he an insignificant creature, but that this earth is only one small point in the great universe. Isn't that something? New York City may seem very large, but when one realizes that the earth is such a small spot, and that on the earth the United States is just another small spot, and that in the United States, New York City is but a small spot, and that in New York the individuals is only one out of millions, then one can understand that he is not so very important after all. Realizing our insignificance in the face of the universe and God, we should not be artificially puffed up, but should be submissive. We should be very careful not to fall prey to frog philosophy. So that is really good point there, okay? Because we are insignificant compared to all the other things. We're just a dot. And you know, speculating, yeah. Once there was a frog in a whale, and upon being informed of the existence of the Atlantic Ocean by a friend, he asked the friend, "Oh, what is this Atlantic Ocean?" It is vast body of water, his friend replied. How vast? It is double the size of this well. Oh no, much, much larger, his friend replied. How much larger? 10 times the size? In this way, the frog went on calculating. Excuse me, but what is the possibility of ever understanding the depth and far reaches of the great ocean? Our faculties, experience, and power of speculations are always limited. Always limited. We can only give rise to such frog philosophy. So now we know what frog philosophy is because we are limited beings. We don't know everything, and that's just my understanding of what my own life and I've learned in my life. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam recommend that we give up the method of speculation as a waste of time in trying to understand the Supreme. After giving up speculation, what should we do? Good question, Bhagavatam recommend that we become submissive and hear the message of God submissively. This message may be found also in the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literature. In the Bible or the Quran or any bona fide scripture, or it may be heard from a realized soul. The main point is that one should not speculate, but should simply hear about God. What will be the results of such hearing? Regardless of what one is, whether he is poor or rich, man, an American, a European, an Indian, a Brahmana, a Sutra, or whatever. If one but hears the transcendental word of God, the Lord, who can never be conquered by any power or force, will be conquered by love. Arjuna was a friend of Krishna, but Krishna, although the supreme Godhead, became Arjuna's chariot driver. A minimal servant. No, I'm not saying that one right. Arjuna loved Krishna, and Krishna reciprocated his love in this way. Similar, when Krishna was a child, he playfully took the shoes of his father, Nanda Maharaj, and put them on his head. People may try very hard to become one with God, but actually, we can surpass that. We can become Father of God. Of course, God is the Father of all creatures, and He is no Father Himself, but He accepts His devotees. His lover as a father. Krishna agrees to be conquered by his devotee out of love. So I know that may sound a little strange, but sometimes, like, God can be what you want him to be. That's how, in my life, I look at it, and I go to God in that way. He's my everything, but not just some big blur in the sky or a Brahmajati or some just light that I want to merge with, but he as a being. He has personality. He understands me, and he knows what personality means too. So when I go and I'm still learning, okay, surrender and give devotion, I see him as a being, a protector, a friend who wants the best for me. So everyone has a way of serving him, and he accepts that way. So Krishna agrees to be conquered by his devotee out of love. All one has to do is hear the message of the Lord very carefully. In the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna gives additional ways in which he can be perceived in every step of life. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penitence of all Aztecs. Aztecs. I think I'm saying it right. Ascetics. And that's in Gita 7:9. The word punya, or gandha, refers to fragrance. Only Krishna can create flavors and fragrance. We may synthetically create some scent or fragrance, but these are not as good as the original that occur in nature. Is that not true? That is so true. He gave us the scents, the flowers. He's the original provider for everything that we have. That is, when you think about it, really do think about that. That just, I don't know, that just makes me feel great. And so, but these are not as good as the originals that occur in nature. When we smell good natural fragrance, we can think, oh, here is God. Here is Krishna. Or when we see some natural beauty, we can think, oh, here's Krishna. Or when we see something uncommon, powerful, or wonderful, we can think, here's Krishna. How many times have you did that? You went somewhere and just said, oh, this is so beautiful. Now when you go, you can say, oh, this is God. This is Krishna. Okay? We can think, here is Krishna. Or when we see any form of life, whether it be a tree, in a plant or animal, or in a human being, we should understand that this life is part and partial of Krishna. If you guys remember, we talked about that part and partial. So it's not just the flowers and the scents, but it's also other human beings. These are part and partial of Krishna. For as soon as the spiritual spark, which is part and partial of Krishna, is taken away from the body disintegrates. O son of Partha, now that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men, Gita 7:10. Here again it is explicitly stated that Krishna is the life of all that lives. Thus, at every step we can see God. People may ask, can you show me God? Yes, of course. God can be seen in so many ways. But if one closes his eyes and say, I cannot see God, then how can he be shown? In the above verse, the word Bijam, B-I-J-A-M, Bijam, means seed, and that seed is proclaimed to be eternal. One may see a huge tree, but what is the origin of this tree? It is the seed, and that seed is eternal. The seed of existence is within every living entity. The body itself may go through so many changes. It may develop within the mother's womb, come out as a small baby, grow through childhood and adulthood, but the seed of that existence that is within is permanent. Therefore, it is imperceivably we are changing our bodies at every moment, at every second. But the Bhajam, that seed, the spiritual spark, does not change. Krishna proclaims himself to be this eternal seed within all existence. He is also the intelligence of an intelligent person. Without being favored by Krishna, one cannot become extraordinarily intelligent. Everyone is trying to be more intelligent than others, but without the favor of Krishna, this is not possible. Therefore, whenever we encounter someone with extraordinary intelligence, we should think that intelligence is Krishna. Similar, the influence of one who is very influential, yeah, that's right, influential is also Krishna. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am the sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. O Lord of the Paratas, that's Arjuna in Gita 7:11. The elephant and the gorillas are very strong animals, and we should understand that they get their strength from who? Krishna. The human being cannot acquire such strength by his own endeavor. But if Krishna so favors, a man can get strength to exceed the elephant thousands of times. The great warrior Bhima, who fought in the battle of Kurukshetra, was said to have strength of 10,000 times of that of an elephant. Similar desire of lust, which is not against religious principle, should also be seen as Krishna. Now, don't that sound funny? What is this lust? Lust generally means sex life, but here, Kama, refers to sex life which is not against religious principle. That is to say, sex for the begetting of good children. If one can beget good Krishna conscious children, he can have 6,000 of times. But he can only beget children who are raised in the consciousness. But if he can only beget children who are raised in the consciousness of cats and dogs, his sex life is to be considered irreligious. So, no sex, no sex, no sex. That's what's stated in most religions. But if you're raising Krishna conscious kids, then you're raising good kids, good beings. And that'll make a difference in the whole world. We see a lot of people, ourselves, we were born under all kind of circumstances. But everybody that's born doesn't mean they're not always good. So we know that, okay? They have issues because they're not Krishna conscious. I've had issues in the past because I wasn't Krishna conscious. I'm learning this now. And the thing when I say that, it's never too late to learn, even though I'm not looking at kids or anything like that, because I have kids, grown kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids. So now I know, okay? And it would be good to teach them eventually, But as you say, their eyes is covered, okay? At this time, maybe one day they will wake up, and a whole lot of other people too. So we don't want to use our sex life inappropriately. And we see that all over the place. So that's so hard for so many people because it's just in your face and they have no self-control. Let's move on. In religious, and realize that those are my thoughts, my views, anything that I say here. Always go to the link below. In religious and civilized society, marriage is intended as indication that a couple is to engage in sex for the begetting good children. Therefore, married sex life is considered religious, and unmarried sex life is considered irreligious. Actually, there is no difference between the sannyasi and the householder, provided that the householder's sexual activities are based on religious principles. All states of being, be they of goddess, passion, of goodness, all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifest by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I'm independent. I am not under the modes of these material natures. So let's go there and say those material natures are goodness, passion, or ignorance. And those are all God's energy. Remember, we talked about those energies, his eternal energy and his external energy. And those external energies are the goodness, the passion, or the ignorance. And they don't control him, but they do control us. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the mold of this material nature. Gita 7:12. One may question Krishna in this way. You say, you are sound, water, illumination, fragrance, the seed of all, strength, and kama, desire. Does that mean that you exist simply in the mode of goodness? The material world, there are the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Thus far, Krishna has described himself as that which is good. For instance, sex and marriage according to religious principles. But what about the other modes? Does not Krishna exist in them? In answer, Krishna replies that whatever is seen in the material world is due to an interaction of the three modes of material nature. Whatever can be observed is a combination of goodness, passion, or ignorance. And in all these cases, three states are produced by me. Because they are produced by Krishna, their position is in him, but he is not in them. For Krishna himself is transcendental to the three modes. Thus, in another sense, bad and evil things, which are produced out of ignorance, are also Krishna when they are applied by Krishna. How is this, for example? An electrical engineer is producing electrical energy. In our home, we are experiencing this electrical energy as coldness in the refrigerator or heat in the electric stove. But at the power plant, electrical energy is neither cold nor hot. The manifestation of this energy may be different for the living entities, but for Krishna they are not different. Therefore, Krishna sometimes acts on what appears to be the principle of passion or ignorance, but for Krishna there is nothing but Krishna. Just as for the electrical engineer, electrical energy is simply electricity and nothing else. He makes no distinction that this is cold electricity or this is hot electricity. Everything is being generated by Krishna. Indeed, the Vedanta Sutra confirms a lot of Sanskrit that I'm not going to say. Everything is flowing from the supreme absolute truth. What the living entity is considering to be bad or good is only so for the living entity, for he is conditioned. But because Krishna is not conditioned, for him there is no question of bad or good, because we are all conditioned. We all suffer from dualities, but for him, everything is perfect. So we made it to the 4th chapter. So that was very good and very interesting. So we can see, because we are conditioned, we look at this is good and this is good, this is bad. And the source of all this, because we do see things in duality, but God does not see that. So there's a lot to think about when you think of that, because we are part and partial of him, but he is not involved in that material uh, modes, which is the goodness, passion, and ignorance. But we, as individual beings, we're playing out on those modes, and we can see that. It's very interesting when you think about it. There's so much more you can learn about the 3 modes of nature. It will help you to understand a lot of things that's going on around in life general, not just personal. That's the one thing. We are so personal. We take everything so personal, and um, everything is so much bigger than that. Hi everyone. Okay, let's see what progress I've made on my sweater. The sweater is. I was uploading my crochet on YouTube. It's a paid for pattern. Hold on. Show you the tutorial, but it's best to get the pattern because. Sorry about that. Had a video uploading, and hopefully you'll go watch that. So yeah, I was saying so. Krishna is the source of everything, and everything we can see how, because we're under those 3 modes, that those energies are being misplaced. We and without him, we're completely blind. We don't know. We're just going around and around and around, and behaving the same old way, reacting the same old way, constantly thinking that speculating that we know what's right, just like it said about you know, the universe. All we can do is speculate. We have to experience. We have experienced things for ourselves, and even though we can experience certain things, we do realize that we're